Southwest. Residents are right now being told to stay vigilant and to be prepared for things to change at any time. A watch and act is in place with conditions easing this morning, but authorities are warning the fires are very volatile and likely to escalate later today. This is what the RFS Commissioner had to say on the program moments ago.
The combination of so much active fire on the ground as we speak, coupled with this forecast of very strong winds, we're talking about 50 to 60 kilometre-hour winds once again moving through that fireground area today. And the overlying challenge of that is that yesterday, with the baking heat and the absence of rain for the last few weeks, whatever was left in the moisture in the vegetation yesterday has been sapped out with that heat and very strong wind yesterday, and we've had no relief. We're going to see that wind dominate again today.
We have reporters in key locations, but we're going to start with Peter Stefanovic, who is in Menai for us. Pete, what is the latest there?
Good morning to you, Millie. Well, the temperatures are much cooler than they were yesterday, but there are still some wind gusts around, and this is potentially leading off from what the Commissioner was just talking about, because they are expected to increase in the next couple of hours or so. The firefighters who are here at the moment are pretty relaxed about things, but they are still aware of the potential dangers later on, and the residents who live here are very aware of the potential danger later on, especially relating to ember attacks. That's one of the biggest problems that can occur today. It was one of the biggest problems that occurred last night. Some of the residents I've been talking to this morning told me that it was raining embers, it was raining fire, and we know that a lot of the homes that can burn down in Australia during bushfires do burn down from ember attacks. So everyone is aware of those dangers, everyone is staying vigilant, but as I mentioned, things at the moment are much calmer than they were, thankfully, last night when we saw those incredible pictures, that wall of flames that moved towards these homes. I mean, just off to my right is the bushland that burnt, and that's only about 100 metres away. And off to my left, you've got these homes that are basically untouched because of the good work that the firefighters and the residents were doing. But here are some of the residents that I spoke to a little bit earlier on the program. Here's what they had to say about it all.
You couldn't obviously stop it or contain it, but when the embers came across, and again, my fire, he gave me the directions, he said the same. He said, look, just worry about the house, water the house down. You can't stop the embers. You can't put them out, so just you know, keep the house wet, basically. So, yeah, a bit concerning for a while. When the wind came in one way, it sort of moved the fire away from our house, I think, but at one time it came across the gully right towards our properties here, so that made it even worse. But possibly it was the change of wind direction which sort of helped us along the way.
Suddenly we started getting calls and saying it's getting close. We didn't think there was any danger at all, but we raced home and fair enough, it was on the doorstep. It was there, and then the flames, as you can see behind us here, the flames were coming up to the road. We worked all night, particularly with the rural firefighters. They're the guys that really save everything, and we work with them, and they did a fantastic job of just making sure that we were as safe as we could be. Now it's a matter of just being vigilant.
Yeah, so all the residents, not just in Menai, but in the surrounding neighbourhoods as well, staying very vigilant today. You can see this wind's picking up, so that's part of what we've had to deal with this morning. Meanwhile, police are still looking for what might have caused the fire to spark in the first place yesterday afternoon. So if anybody out there has any information that might help them, then please call police.
OK, Pete, thank you for that update. We're going to go to Today reporter Sophie Upcroft now, who is in Lucas Heights, which was right in the path of the fire. Sophie, a very anxious time there.
Look, it is a very anxious time for residents, Amelia, and we just drove through Sandy Point a few moments earlier, and there are a number of firefighters on the ground there and a number of trucks in there as well. So they are very much on standby in that area, and residents are speaking with firefighters to make sure that they have the correct fire plans in place to remain safe, and they are starting to protect their homes by watering the garden and keeping things as wet as possible. But the main issue is embers, and I'm only a couple of hundred metres from those homes that I just mentioned, and we are here in the bush where firefighters are currently putting out spot fires that have been flaring up in the bush here, and this area is where they've conducted back burning from around 5 a.m. this morning, a massive operation, and has been quite successful, but but with those winds blowing through, it is flaring up spot fires, as I said, and with those winds, it is taking embers towards homes, and that's where those homes are under threat. So the advice from firefighters for people in the Sandy Point area is to listen to firefighters on the ground and to act in accordance with your fire plan.
All right, Sophie, thank you. We're going to move to Picnic Point now, which is where we find reporter Natasha Apollini. Natasha, what's happening there?
Well, as you can see behind me here, RFS have taken to their boats to douse down some hot spots that have flared up this morning. They've been back burning since sunrise, trying to get the upper hand of this blaze that has moved along the embankment quite quickly. It has been heading in a northeasterly direction away from Sandy Point and Alfred's Point, but the warning is to residents to still monitor the situation. The wind has picked up quite a lot. It's quite gusty now. It is changing direction as well in the past couple of minutes, which has been the biggest concerns for crews. There's over 500 firefighters on the ground. You might see a couple of them out there at the moment. They're blackening out some of those spots that they backburned earlier this morning. Residents here, they've taken to coming out and having a look. They're taking a few photos. So there is a bit of a calm atmosphere, but they're obviously being warned to make sure that they have their bushfire survival plan in place. With these winds are concerned, we just don't know what the rest of the day has to hold for them all here.
All right, Natasha, we'll leave it there. Thank you for the update. Moving to the rest of the day's news now, and police have boarded a cruise ship at the centre of